Yes. What's going on, everybody? It's Monday night. It is the MMA Engine YouTube channel, and we're doing a balls deep breakdown tonight on the Randy Rude Boy Brown versus Khaos Williams matchup at UFC 274 coming up this Saturday, May 7th, you guys. Really fantastic fight. Two all-action fighters. You guys, this is going to be an absolute banger. Both of these guys are really dynamic strikers. Neither one of them offensively go to the wrestling very much, so I'm seeing a fight between two guys that are going to stand and bang until one man falls, and we are going to be the beneficiaries of this fantastic fight and being able to watch it. Greetings to everybody that's watching right now on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, and let's get ready to stack cash tickets like flapjacks on this particular fight and the entire UFC 274 card. You guys, we got my guy Mushroom in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, oi! Smooth Jimmy Apollo, oi! What's up, Mushroom? It's good to see you in here, brother. Always good to have you riding along with us on the show. We got Grateful Dead in the room, Grateful Dude in the room saying, oi, great fight to go balls deep on. I couldn't agree more. Philip V saying, sup. We got my guy Monk from the MMA Engine YouTube channel himself saying a good oi to you, Uncle Weezy, and an equally good oi to the chat. Big fight week. This is a huge fight week. Compared to the last three events, this is an absolutely massive fight week, you guys. So really looking forward to breaking down this fight from nose to toes for all of you. We got my guy Victor de Jesus in the room saying, can't wait for the breakdown on this amazing fight. Rooting for my man from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Khaos by KO. I did not know Khaos was from Grand Rapids. See, I know my man Sweet Dreams Jamal Hill is from Grand Rapids, but I didn't know that that Khaos was from there as well. Grand Rapids is a nice city, and I know that's where my guy Victor is from, man. Good to have you checking in, Victor. I got to get up there one of these days soon, man. It's been a minute since I've been up there to Saugatuck and to Fenville, which is where my girlfriend's mom has her place. We got Brandon saying, yes, sir. We got War Dog up in the room saying, can't stay long tonight, but just wanted to say, keep up the solid work, Weezy. Khaos by KO. My guy, man. And then we got PSSA 31 saying, Uncle Weezy, Mardi Gras story time. My God, the Mardi Gras stories, you guys, are not fit for YouTube. They would get my channel banned immediately. I mean, we went hard in the paint back in those days, man. It was absolutely nuts. Those were some fun times. Mardi Gras is amazing. We got my guy Dizzy Spider in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Give me a parlay winner. Well, we got some, let's see. So you can absolutely parlay up. The fight doesn't go to decision for the main event this week. That is an absolute lock, in my opinion, as close to a lock as we can get in MMA. I don't want to jinx it by calling it a lock. Oh God, what else can we find for the Dizzy Spider? I don't mind Fialio this week. I think he's going to be able to keep the fight standing and knock out Van Camp. And we have some fight goes to decision or fight doesn't go to decision. I wonder what the fight goes on Chason Dumont is. Minus 205 on 5 dimes, minus 220. It's not even out on most sites yet. Man, maybe the over 1.5 in Chandler Ferguson at minus 150. I think that Ferguson's extremely durable, so that I think that fight will go over 1.5. Yeah, let's say fight doesn't go in the main event. We'll say the over 1.5 in Chandler Ferguson and throw Fialio in there. I don't know if it'll even be plus money. It should be, but if it isn't, my apologies. Let's go with that, though, man. And we got Bruce Bobtrotter saying, Rob Comic Sans font will never be Helvetica at this point. We'll be lucky to ever get to Times New Roman level even. Yeah, I didn't even get to see that fight. I was on the Pub Sports live stream breaking down the first few fights and then went to a friend's house for dinner, and they did not have the fights on. And then by the time I got home, it was already time to start doing research for UFC 274 already. So I'm going to watch it maybe later on this week when I got a little time. But in the meantime, 15 fights on this card to break down, so it's a lot of work for me. Excuse me, guys, to get ready for Just the Tip tomorrow night on Uncle Weezy's channel. We got Mark's on saying, "Sup, Weezy?" What's up, Mark? It's good to have you here, brother. And Dizzy Spider saying, "I'll take Uncle Weezy. Break it down balls deep." Yeah, man, let's go, man. Let's go. So let's check it out. See if my guy Smooth Jimmy is on the screen here, ready to go. And if he is, we can get into the stats for this matchup and start breaking it down here and figure out who we like in the Randy Rude Boy Brown Khaos Williams matchup. All right. And there's Smooth Jimmy ready to go, you guys. So let's bring up these odds. You see the tape there on the bottom right now. On Bet Online, they got this fight as a pick'em at -110, but most other places, Khaos Williams is sitting right around -120. So the best odds right now out there on Khaos Williams are on Bet Online at -110, and you can get Randy Brown. The best odds is on PointsBet at +112 right now, but everywhere else he's about +100, you guys. And then we got, let's see. I will show you guys the prop template a little bit later on when we start talking about the over-under bets for this particular fight. But let's zoom in on this screen, get nice and tight, and get a look at these numbers, you guys. So, tail of the tape. We've got Khaos Williams, 3 years younger. It's going to be Randy Brown, who is 3 inches taller and is going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. If you've seen Randy Brown fight, he's an absolutely huge welterweight. I'm not even sure how he makes the weight at 6'3". 78-inch reach. The guy is very long, very tall for the division, and he strikes long. He does really nice front kicks and uses his jab pretty well. But yeah, he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage, but it's Khaos Williams, who's 3 years younger here. Both of these guys are orthodox fighters, although you will see Randy Brown switching stances a decent amount, while Khaos Williams will kind of stay in that orthodox stance. We got Randy Brown fighting out of Budokan, and we've got Khaos Williams out of Murcielago MMA. Randy Brown, born in the United States, grew up in Jamaica, moved back to the United States, and we got Khaos Williams from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Stand up. We got pro experience. Randy Brown with a 3-fight pro experience advantage. He's got about 20 more minutes in the pro cage. Both of these guys' average fight time sitting between 8 and 9 minutes per fight. And it's Randy Brown with about 3 more years as a pro here. So in 8 years, Randy Brown's got 18 fights. And in 5 years, Khaos Williams got 15 fights. So Khaos Williams, while he's a little bit less experienced at the UFC level and as a pro overall, has been a very busy mixed martial artist, fighting 3 times a year for the 5 years that he's been in business as a pro fighter, while Randy Brown fights a little over twice a year, which is also pretty active. Now, when it comes to the UFC experience, Randy Brown, 7 more UFC fights. He's got about 80 more minutes in the UFC cage. Both of these guys' average fight time is sitting, between 8 and about 10 minutes. For Khaos Williams, 8.4. For Randy Brown, it's 10.2 minutes. And when we look at the finish stats here, we're going to see Randy Brown overall with a 79% finish rate, 43% by KO, 36% by submission, and Khaos Williams with a 60% win rate by finish, 54% by KO, 8% by sub. But Khaos has finished 3 of his 4 UFC wins inside the distance, and Randy Brown has finished 5 of his 8 UFC wins inside the distance. So 8 out of 12 of these guys combined UFC wins have finished inside the distance. And Randy Brown has been finished in 3 of his 4 losses, while Khaos Williams has never been finished as a professional yet in 15 professional fights. And Randy Brown, all of those losses have come as a UFC fighter, and 3 of them inside the distance, 2 of them by knockout, 1 of them by submission. Let's see. We got Silky B in the room saying, "Still the man." What's up, Silky B? Good to see you in here. And we got Bruce Bob Trotter saying, "The only guy going balls deep into another man is Jordan Levitt, bro." Come on with the Jordan Levitt stuff already. Let the man be himself. Let the man, he's a unicorn, all right? He is his own man. He does his own thing. You don't have to like the the dirty dancing stuff and the twerking stuff, but he's a good grappler. Striking leaves a lot to be desired, but he's finding ways to win fights at the UFC level, and for that, he deserves our respect. But what is going to go on here with the striking in this fight? Because in my impression, you guys, this particular fight is probably going to be taking place almost entirely on the feet. Khaos Williams really doesn't attempt takedowns at the UFC level, and Randy Brown has done his best work recently in the UFC when he's been concentrating more on his distance striking and winning minutes that way. So when we look at the overall numbers for these guys, Randy Brown lands 1.1 more significant strikes per minute than he absorbs. He's landing 4.21 and absorbing 3.11. And he's thrown about 2 more significant strike attempts per minute than his opponents are, as he throws 8.77 and his opponents are throwing 6.57. 48% striking accuracy is pretty good. He's got a 0.58% knockdowns for total significant strikes landed. So he's landed 3 knockdowns in his UFC tenure, and that is averaging out to 0.37 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Randy Brown showing about a 52.5% striking defense. That's not particularly good. However, it is better than Randy Brown's, it is better than Khaos Williams, but he's been knocked down twice so far in the UFC, and he is absorbing 0.25 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Khaos Williams' numbers on the aggregate are a little bit better. He lands about 1.62 more significant strikes per minute than he absorbs, while for Randy Brown, it's about 1.1. So a little bit better on that particular metric. He's also landing more significant strikes per minute as he lands 5 and he only absorbs 3.38. But the big thing here is the volume, you guys. Khaos Williams throwing a lot more volume than his opponents are thus far, as he's attempting 13 significant strike attempts per minute, and his opponents are only throwing about 6.7. So, this is really important because Khaos Williams, when you watch him strike, he does love to counter strike. When you come in with a big shot, he will return with 3 or 4. He likes to counter in combination. And everything that he throws is with really bad intentions. But Khaos doesn't just wait to counter. He doesn't really have a problem being first either. And I think that's really important when it comes to winning minutes on the feet. That is how you have to do it. You have to be willing to be first and watch your opponent's counter striking. And then when your opponent tries to be first, counter in combination. And Khaos has done an excellent job of doing that so far. Also, it's very important to note that this guy has as many knockdowns in his 5 UFC fights as Randy Brown has in 12, as he's got 3 knockdowns in only 210 significant strikes landed, while Randy Brown's got 3 knockdowns in 515 significant strikes landed. So we see that Khaos is landing a knockdown on 1.43% of the significant strikes that he's landing, and that's averaging out to over 1 knockdown per 15 minutes. In addition to that, he's never been knocked down, and he's never been knocked out in his career. So Randy Brown is going to be the longer guy here. He's going to be throwing just as many kicks as Khaos Williams has. And Randy Brown just looks a lot smoother on the feet. He's long. He's slick. When his punches come straight to the target, they're impressive. And when he's throwing in combination and pressuring at the same time, he's very, very impressive. He just had a habit of kind of clinching up a lot and not taking advantage of his reach advantage earlier in his career. But now it seems that he's learning how to use that reach advantage, keep the fight in the center of the cage, use the reach advantage and the straight punching advantage and the speed advantage that he has. And when he's throwing like that, the power comes naturally behind it because he is throwing straight punches, because he's throwing in combination, and because sometimes the opponents don't see it coming, especially when with the front kicks up the middle. But Randy Brown is very susceptible, you guys, to low leg kicks. And we do see Khaos Williams going to the low leg kicks quite a bit here. I think that that's going to be a key part of this fight because Randy Brown really suffered with the low leg kicks in the Luque fight. Barberena was going after his legs. And most recently, Jared Gooden did an excellent job. And you know what? Oliveira did as well. In the time that Oliveira was winning that fight before he got caught with a huge right hand by Randy Brown, he had landed about 6 or 7 low leg kicks, and it was clearly bothering Randy. So I think low leg kicks are going to be a big part of this fight because Randy Brown's got those neuro ass long legs. You don't make 171 pounds at 6'3" unless you've got skinny legs. So Khaos is going to be going after those low legs, and I think that he will be effectively countering on the feet. It's just how effective is Randy Brown going to be at maintaining the distance while he stays in the front of the in the center of the cage here, because Khaos is not a massive pressure fighter, but he doesn't mind being first, like I said. And when he counters in combination and with serious bad intentions. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting stylistic matchup on the feet. I think Brown throws straighter punches. I think he's a little bit faster. Khaos throws hooks, but with a lot more power, and he throws with a lot more volume as well. And he's, not quite as good defensively as Randy Brown, but neither one of these guys is showing great striking defense. However, the big difference is, you guys, the durability. Khaos Williams has been incredibly durable thus far in the UFC. He's never been knocked out in his career. He's never been knocked down in the UFC. And if you look at the names that he's fighting a bunch of guys who are landing knockdowns on around 1% of the significant strikes that they're landing in their career. So not only has he not been knocked down, but he's not been knocked down while fighting some very powerful UFC opponents. So in my opinion, the striking is going to be very close. I could see Randy Brown maybe doing the more spectacular things in the judge's eyes, just because he's so smooth and so long and can maintain distance well. And if he does that well, I think he can probably win more minutes on the feet than he loses. But I think it's going to be very close. And I think it'll be Khaos Williams who's landing the big shots as he's countering Randy Brown's straight punches. I like the way that Khaos keeps his hands tight to his face. I think that he's going to be really good at winning minutes here. And it's surprising because Khaos has the ability to do two things on the feet that you usually don't see in the same fighter. And that's win minutes and win moments, because he's got that power. It's a very rare combination, and Brown can do that as well. It's just that, since both of them can do it, I'm leaning Khaos Williams because of that durability, because of that chin. But if nobody gets knocked down in this fight, I think it's going to be very close, and I think it's anybody's fight. Let's see what you guys are talking about here in the chat. Let's see. We got my guy Mark Schillingberg hanging out in the room saying, Weezy, oi, love all the content. Back to back last night was fun. Love me some Rude Boy Randy Brown. Can't wait for this banger. Let's dive into it. I'm such a fan of both of these guys. This was kind of like when I looked at this card, I didn't usually I'll ask other people, who should I do? I was selfish this week. I'm like, I'm breaking down this fight. I want to watch as much Khaos Williams and Rude Boy tape as I possibly can. And I got to do that. Got to see the entire UFC career of both guys today. Excuse me. So that was extremely fun for me. And we got Paul Brassfield. Salute, Uncle Weezy. The Parlay King is fiending this week. Dude, when we got these big pay-per-views, it's hard not to fiend. So let's find some parlays to stack cash tickets like flapjacks on, Paul. Thanks for hanging out with us, brother. And Mark saying, I'll be backing Rude Boy. Little hedge on Khaos by KO is only win condition. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, he could win by decision, in my opinion, too, if he's first. And if he throws more volume than Randy Brown, and if he lands kicks to those calves and can kind of slow down the mobility of Brown, I think Khaos can also win a decision here, you guys. I do think that he has minute-winning potential on the feet. It's going to be difficult to do that, though, against Randy Brown, because Brown's so slick on the feet, and everything that he does just looks pretty, in my opinion. And then David Dennett saying, I cannot believe the line is only minus 160 on fight doesn't go to decision. I doubt Khaos goes down, but I don't trust Brown's chin. Dope fight. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why the fight doesn't go to decision is kind of there and maybe not the best bet. But you know what, you guys, we're going to take a sneak peek at the prop template and we're going to see if we can find some places to put our money in the over-unders on this particular fight. And if we can't, it means that we might be able to bet either fighter by what we consider their best win condition to be, which is how I played the Jotko Meerschaert fight last week. I had Meerschaert by finish only, and I bet Jotko to win by decision. And Meerschaert really didn't come close to finishing that fight, and Jotko won a clear decision. So the finish only prop pushed, and there was no bet there. And I won 1.5 units by laying down 0.75 units at plus 200 on Jotko by decision. So when we have these situations where it seems like only one fighter really has a chance to finish, then you want to play that fighter by their finish prop and then play the other fighter by their decision prop. And that's kind of like the best way to go. But we'll see how it goes. But we will look, like I say, at the prop template and see if we can find any angles for this particular fight. Paul Brassfield saying, yeah, I wouldn't trust Brown's chin to hold up for a full 15 against Khaos. Khaos carries power and a willingness to fight for a full 15. And that's an excellent point, Paul. He knocked out Baeza a minute into the third round. And if you look at some of the shots that he was landing against Pereira in the third, he was landing some really nice ones. Khaos Williams was somebody that I was worried about his conditioning. After the first two fights in the UFC, it's like, oh, well, he hasn't went past 30 seconds and he's landing with such power. I don't think he can carry that power for the full 15. But he absolutely showed that he can in the Semmelsberger fight, in the Pereira fight, and then in the Baeza fight. So this guy's got conditioning. He throws volume. He'll be first and he'll counter. And he's most comfortable on the feet. So, yeah, I like Khaos here. He's a lot more well-rounded than I thought he was when he first came into the UFC. It's an excellent point, Paul. And David Dennett saying, Khaos is more active on the feet, but I really like what I saw in the Gooden fight for Brown. Yeah, I mean, dude, Brown is just so slick on the feet. He really is. He's very, very fun to watch. Switching stances, he's long, throws those straight kicks up the middle that are very effective. Good long straight punches in combination. He's got good snap on his punches too. So love watching him, man. You know, and in the Gooden fight, he took a lot of calf kicks in that Gooden fight, and you could tell it was bothering him, and you could tell that a big front kick to the face that he landed on Gooden, along with getting his big toe stuck in the cage just before that, was messing with Randy Brown's right leg, and then or I believe it was the left leg, and then he was getting kicked in that calf a lot. He was switching stances, but he never really looked entirely compromised. He didn't get knocked down from a calf kick like he did in the Luque fight. So it looks like he's getting used to getting kicked in the calves, knowing that people are going to target them. And he's done a pretty good job of being able to fight through it and still be able to remain light on his feet and strike with power and with accuracy. So yeah, definitely, David. Let's see. Teron Brown saying I'm picking Williams by knockout. Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. Brandon Ortega saying, what's up, Unc? So glad I'm catching the show. You shine the light on all the spots, and we appreciate you for it. Dude, I appreciate the kind words, Brandon. I appreciate you hanging out live with us on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, please do. And if you guys have not subscribed to the channel yet, you got to do that. We're adding new content every week. And this probability show that we're doing on Thursday nights is absolutely going to be the biggest thing going forward for you prop bettors, for you bettors who go on the time props for fights. We're going to give you a data-driven look at all these fights that you can't find anywhere else on the web. People who have went out there scouring the web for these kind of statistics just aren't sharing them with people. But you know what? I am, because we are stronger together. We share research together. We put our heads together. That's when we're going to find the best spots, and that's when we're going to break these bookies' backs. And that's the whole point of this, is to stack cash tickets like flapjacks. So let's share information. Let's put really good content out there that makes us sharp as the bookies, and really puts us on an even footing with them so that we can really enjoy having a lot more winning nights at the window. Brandon, appreciate you hanging out. Thanks a lot, brother. Mark's on saying Khaos KO'd Al Hassan, who KO'd Price, who KO'd Randy Brown. And by MMA math, which is right 100% of the time, that means that we got to go with Khaos, baby. But, I mean, there is some credence to MMA math. People say it doesn't work. Well, yeah, it doesn't work sometimes. And then the other times it does work. It's just, you just hope that you don't bet against the MMA math working when it does work, because it does work sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. Every fight is different. Styles make fights, so you can't always just make those assumptions. But yeah, man, Khaos has got serious power and serious durability and the conditioning to push a striking heavy pace for a full 3 rounds. And that's a good combination of skills to have in this 170-pound division. All right. And we got DK saying, I fucking love the prop template. I do too, DK. And we're going to take a look at it here after we get through these grappling stats and these strength of schedule stats. MBG saying, love Khaos Williams. I do too. Thanks for hanging out, MBG. DK saying that thing is going to be long-term betting gold. I couldn't agree more. Brandon saying the Williams money line. We got DK saying, I'm right there with you, Weezy. I couldn't trust Khaos, but the man, he has proven himself. Yeah, dude, he really has. There's no question that Khaos has done everything that we could ask of him thus far in the cage, except for that little part of his career where he kind of got taken down in the last 2 to 3 minutes of the Pereira fight, lost that 3rd round on the judges' scorecards clearly. And I felt like the first 2 rounds were close, but I scored them both for Khaos. Dude, I think Khaos could be 5-0. I think he beat Pereira. And I think Pereira is a very similar test to Randy Brown. Pereira's tall. He's long. He strikes long. He moves well. And he's flashy. And Randy Brown is all of those things. And Randy Brown can mix in the grappling too, as we'll see here shortly on the screen. So, yeah, it's a very similar matchup, and that was a very close fight, but Khaos still was the guy winning minutes on the feet. I think it was Pereira going for a rear naked choke with like 5 seconds left in the 2nd round, and Pereira getting those takedowns at the end of the 3rd round that made the big difference there and got that fight scored for Pereira. So I've always felt like the ideal opponent to beat Khaos Williams is one that can mix in wrestling at the end of rounds to win minutes in close rounds. And let's see if Randy Brown can do that, you guys. Let's see here. Mark's on saying MMA doesn't work every time, but it does more times than not. That MMA math is what he's referring to. And yes, I agree with you on that. Paul Pierce saying I'm late, but I made it. Paul Pierce, good to have you in here, brother. Teron Brown saying a new fight has been added to the UFC 274 card. Yes, sir. Cameron Van Camp versus Andre Fialho. Mr. D saying, what's up, Weezy? What's up, Mr. D? Teron Brown saying that. Paul Pierce, what's up, Boston Celtics legend? That is a legend right there. Degenerates Unite saying DK. Damn, Peace Celtics didn't even play tonight. The Teron, just a fan, but I'm glad you see Paul in the same status as me. So yeah, we've got the grappling numbers here, you guys. So let's look through these through the lens that Randy Brown has 12 UFC fights, 122 minutes of cage time, and that Khaos Williams has 5 UFC fights and 42 minutes of cage time. So Randy Brown has attempted 16 takedowns in 12 fights. So that is about 1.33 takedown attempts per fight, and he's getting less than 1 takedown per fight. 7 out of 16 on his takedown attempts is a very high percentage, though, 43.75%. He's averaging 0.86 takedowns per 15 minutes, 0.61 submission attempts per 15 minutes, and he's controlling his opponents 22.78% of the 122 minutes in the cage. That'd be about 30 minutes of control time on the 16 takedown attempts, on the 7 takedowns, but a lot of that is on the fence for sure. Randy Brown has been taken down 11 times in 12 fights on 38 attempts. His takedown defense that he's shown so far is 71%. He's been taken down 1.35 times per 15 minutes, 0.74 submission attempts against him per 15 minutes, and he's yielded 27% control time on those 11 takedowns that he's yielded. So the fact that Randy Brown has attempted less than half as many takedowns as his opponents have, but yet has only been out-controlled by about 4.5% on the mat is pretty good. We like that. I call that good efficiency. Khaos Williams, on the other hand, is not really interested in getting fights to the mat. He's attempted 2 takedowns. He's gotten neither of them. His fights have only been in control time positions, less than 12% of his UFC career, which is 42 minutes. So that's about 5 minutes of control time for and against here for Khaos Williams out of 42. So, yeah, not much going on there in terms of Khaos trying to get the fights to the mat or being taken to the mat and held there. But he's only faced 4 takedown attempts in 5 fights. So this is the crux of it. I think it's going to be close on the feet. I think Khaos having that power advantage is a big thing, but we know that Randy Brown is very powerful in his own right, very precise. If he lands a big shot, he could really get Khaos's head spinning. We haven't seen it yet, and we haven't seen it yet against very good and very powerful competition thus far from Khaos Williams, but still, to say that Randy Brown can't, hurt this guy on the feet would be ignorant. But Khaos is going to try to keep this fight standing. And he's only been controlled for 3.29% of his UFC career thus far. So if he's capable of keeping the fight standing for the full 15, then I think it's going to be a very close fight. And I think that the power that Khaos brings, the volume that Khaos brings, the ability to counter, the ability to be first as well, and be comfortable doing both, I think is going to be really good here for him. I also like the calf kicks, but Randy Brown, if he's smart, is going to be mixing in a takedown attempt or 2 every single round to try to keep that in the back of Khaos's head. Don't just let him plant his feet and swing at you, because if you do, you might win 13 minutes in a row and then get caught in the 3rd round with a right hook that just separates you from your consciousness. Dude, when you look at the Baeza knockout, dude, Khaos Williams knocked him out, and Baeza woke up about 15 seconds later, and he was surrounded by people. He literally had no idea what happened. When Khaos KO'd Abdul Razak Al Hassan, he was stiff. He KO'd him stiff, and he was there for a while, completely not moving. Khaos has got that kind of power. So Randy Brown does as well, but I think Khaos has got a serious chin, while I don't really know if Randy Brown has that same level of chin. And we also got to worry about Randy Brown's ability to be knocked down via the leg kick. So we haven't seen Randy Brown mix in those wrestling attempts with enough consistency for us to feel like that's a really good avenue for him to be able to win minutes here. So these are Khaos Williams stats. So let's see if Randy Brown's down here. No, that's Macy Chase on. So Randy Brown's going to be up here, and we can kind of look at the takedown attempts. See, 4 takedown attempts in his first fight, 2 fights after that. And other than that, he's never really had more than 2 in a fight. So, yeah, you look at this, he doesn't mix in the wrestling much. And Randy Brown has never had more than 1 takedown in any fight. Let's see what his records are in these fights where he gets takedowns. Let's see if there's like any kind of correlation between him getting takedowns and actually winning fights. So loss, win. So he's actually 5 and 2 when he gets takedowns, and he's 2-2 when he doesn't. So, but he can absolutely win fights on the feet. He didn't get a fight in the he didn't get a takedown in the Jared Gooden fight. He clearly won that one. Didn't get a takedown in the Oliveira fight, and he finished both of those. He didn't get a finish against Gooden, but he got a first-round finish against Alex Oliveira with a one-arm rear naked choke, which is something you don't see every day. So I don't really feel like we're going to see Randy Brown mixing in takedowns every single round, but I think it would be a great idea for him to bust out that wrestling game and like I say, get it in the back of Khaos Williams' mind, because if you do that, maybe he won't be as willing to plant his feet and counter with as much gusto as he normally does, which is something you don't want him doing if you like being conscious. So, like I say, we just haven't seen Khaos Williams yet face any kind of wrestling adversity here because he's not getting controlled. Pereira is the only guy to control him for more than 2 seconds in a fight yet. And that's because Pereira actually attempted takedowns. He attempted 2 takedowns and he got both of them. And he advanced position twice after getting those takedowns. So I think that's the weakness for Khaos Williams. A, that we haven't seen him tested in the grappling yet. And B, that when we look at him on the feet, he's very comfortable there. He's comfortable everywhere. Like I say, offensively, defensively, he does keep his hands high. His striking defense isn't as good on paper as we'd like to see, but I mean, he's definitely keeping his hands high. He's definitely got a good chin, so he's good defensively in that particular way. So let's get back though to the prop template here and take a look at these strength of schedule stats. So right now, we've got Randy Brown with the size advantage. We got Khaos Williams being 3 years younger. We've got Randy Brown with the experience advantage. He's been fairly busy fighting more than twice a year. He's got 3 more professional fights. He's got 7 more fights at the UFC level. Randy Brown is going to have a 1-inch reach advantage here, but on the feet, I think it's going to be very close. They're both excellent strikers, and they're both clearly very comfortable there. I'm giving Khaos Williams the power edge and the durability edge. I'm giving Randy Brown the length, the ability to be able to use that length and the speed advantage. And I like that he throws straighter punches than Williams, who tends to throw more hooks. But when Williams throws straight, he lands. So, but when it comes to the grappling, I've got to give Randy Brown the grappling advantage. We've seen this guy get submissions as a pro. He submitted Alex Oliveira. He submitted Warley Alves. So we can see this guy absolutely getting some grappling, winning some minutes there. And we don't see Khaos trying to win minutes there. So I've got Randy Brown with the grappling advantage. But in the strength of schedule, we see that Khaos Williams has got an edge here. He's actually fighting the guys with better records. 2.45 win-to-loss ratio of Khaos Williams' opponents in comparison to 1.57 for Randy Brown. And they're both fighting fairly experienced opponents, but Randy Brown fighting slightly more experienced opponents. When we look at the wins, you got to give Khaos Williams the edge. The win-loss record of these guys that Khaos is beating is 5.75 wins and 2.25 losses. That's a 2.56 win-to-loss ratio. While Randy Brown is also beating guys that are experienced and with winning records, it's just that the ratio is less than half as good. The win-to-loss ratio of the opponents that Randy Brown is beating is less than half as good as the ones that Khaos Williams is beating. And then when we look at the losses here, it's Randy Brown who's losing to the slightly better competition here. 2.31 ratio to 2 and 10.75 total fights for Randy Brown, the guys that Randy Brown is losing to in comparison to 6 total fights for Khaos Williams. So we can look at the last 5 here. These are all of Khaos's UFC fights. First round knockout over Alex Morano. First round knockout over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Unanimous decision loss to Michel Pereira, and I thought he won that fight. A unanimous decision win over Matthew Semmelsberger looked fantastic there. And a knockout win over Miguel Baeza. Randy Brown wins by knockout in the 3rd round versus Brian Barberena. If you want to see Randy Brown at his best, watch that 3rd round. That fight is in the grappling exchanges for the first 2 rounds for a decent part of the fight. Fairly low volume. Randy Brown goes back to his corner after round 2 and they tell him, look, no more grappling. You're the better striker than this guy. We're going to keep this in the center of the ring. No more grappling. We got to win this fight. We need this round. I need you striking for the full 5 minutes in order to have a chance to win this round. Do it, Randy. And he went out there and he absolutely outclassed Barberena on the feet and took him apart. Really impressive win there. Really impressive performance over Warley Alves, landing a big hand and then submitting him. Vicente Luque, really good fight. He just got caught with something right at the end of the 2nd round. Luque was landing some leg kicks, landed a knockdown via a leg kick, but like I say, landed a big shot with about 10 seconds left in the second round and finished the fight at the end of the round. But up until that point, very close fight. One arm rear naked choke for Randy Brown against Oliveira, and then the unanimous decision win, which was fairly one-sided over Jared Gooden. Jared Gooden did land a good amount of leg kicks, but Randy Brown was landing the much better shots on the feet, landing the much smoother boxing. So yeah, the strength of schedule actually is leaning Khaos Williams for me here, and we can just take a little bit closer look and see that these guys that Khaos is beating 4-3 Baeza, 4-1 Semmelsberger, 5-5 Al Hassan, 10-4 Morono, 23-13, and then the only loss to Michel Pereira. And like I say, I think he won that fight. And then we see that the wins for Randy Brown are against 1-3 Matt Dwyer, a 1-2 Eric Montano, an 0-3 Brian Camozzi, 6-5 Mickey Gall, who's got a couple wins on his resume that are not good fighters. Brian Barberena, great win. Warley Alves, great win. Alex Oliveira, solid win. Jared Gooden, solid win. And then the losses to really good competition in Vicente Luque, a freak loss via hammer fist from the bottom to Nico Price, to Bilal Muhammad, and then he loses a wrestling-based decision to Michael Graves. I'm sorry, he was submitted by Michael Graves. So, yeah, the only guy not to finish him is Bilal Muhammad, and Bilal Muhammad is known not to be a finisher. So, yeah, I think that Kalen Williams is live to win this fight. I think he's live to finish Randy Brown, but I also think that the line feels very, very correct, especially at minus 110 apiece, you guys, because boy, Randy Brown is really good on the feet. And I think that if he wants to commit to trying to wrestle at different points in this fight, that he can do enough on the feet to keep it close enough. If he avoids the big shot and he mixes in the wrestling, I think that he's probably going to win this fight. But I haven't seen enough of a commitment to the wrestling from Randy Brown in order to feel that it's going to overtake the advantages that Kalen Williams has on the feet, that being the power, that being the volume, and that being the ability, the great conditioning too, and the ability to be comfortable not only countering with combinations, but being first with kicks and landing low leg kicks, which Randy Brown are very susceptible to. My pick is going to be Kalen Williams by third round knockout, you guys, in this particular fight. But let's look at these time props, but let's look at them first before what you guys have to say. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Damn, Celtics didn't even play tonight. Hank Hill in the room saying, Weezy, I rewatched Rose and Carla's recent fights and their first fight. I don't see how Rose wins. Her footwork and striking is obviously much better, but her takedown defense is still bad. Carla lock, 51% takedown defense for Rose Namajunas, Hank Hill. So that read is actually really good because she's got to do better getting back up. But she does do a good job of getting back up. But, if Carla's taking her down in all 5 rounds, it won't matter if her striking is better. So that's a very interesting fight. I need to look more deeply into that before I go live for my show tomorrow night, where I break down all 15 fights on this card. But I'm going to look into that one for sure. My guy Dave Bandit, all the way from Poland, saying 4:30 a.m. Time to start the day with Uncle Weezy. My guy Dave, it's always good to have you in here, brother. Thanks for hanging out, especially at this ungodly hour of the morning. You would never catch your Uncle Weezy up at 4:30 in the a.m. unless I was still up partying from the night before, my man. But big ups, brother. Thanks for hanging out with us. Prince of Mischief saying, I heard Trevor Whitman has been working with Khaos. Oh, wow. No kidding. Via Clint. I'm not sure how often, though. Can Randy keep Khaos down? Randy's not a big control time monster on the ground, you guys. So he can take – I know that when he took Luque down, Luque got right back up. DK saying Brown getting less than 1 takedown per fight is making me like Khaos even more. And yeah, that's the thing. We just don't see the commitment to the wrestling from Randy, but he is well-rounded enough that if he did commit to it, I feel it will be an avenue for him to win minutes here and make him – I mean, like if I knew Randy Brown was going to shoot 2 takedowns per round, I would probably bet Randy Brown maybe up to minus 125. But I think that the line is accurate at Kalen Williams minus 120 if I have to assume that Randy Brown gets less than one takedown per fight, like he has been over an 11 fight sample size. Paul Pierce saying, I don't think he's going to show us his wrestling, to be honest. He probably doesn't want to get in super close range with that power. Yeah, you might be right about that, dude. You might be right about that, Paul. I'll tell you. Thomas saying, totally off topic. Sorry, Weezy, but did anyone get money down on the Soren Bach Bellator fight? The line opened up backwards plus 375. Check your books, boy. I did not. I don't pay attention to Bellator at all. Just trying to create content for the UFC is literally a full-time job for me. So I completely missed that. But yeah, if it opened wrong, fucking get on that. You got to take advantage of those mistakes that the bookies make because they don't make many. Thank you for calling it out to the chat, Thomas. We really appreciate tips like that on Balls Deep Breakdown, man. It's when we're sharing information, we're all stronger. Check your books, boys, says Thomas. Thomas always looking for those violence bets too. Nick Odd saying, seems like it's been fixed per best fight odds, but that's nuts. He's a minus 700 favorite. My God, big ups to everybody that got in a plus 375. DK saying, I'm getting tired of these Bellator squash matches. There's a lot of them. Paul Pierce saying, I love watching Randy when he mixes it up. Super well-rounded fighter for sure. DK saying, hate to root against him. I hate to root against either of these guys. These guys are so much fun to watch. Mr. D saying, Baeza had Khaos in a leg lock heel hook and still was getting punched in the face. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, and it's not like Khaos is a fish out of water on the ground. The guy's been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. He's fairly high level on the ground. It's just that he's way more comfortable on the feet. And you could just tell that. It's always in the stats, you guys. When you got big sample sizes of fights and a particular fighter has 0 takedown attempts or 0 takedowns, you know where they're most comfortable. The stats tell you that. Even though they'll get on the interview and they'll lie to your face and be like, oh, I'm even more comfortable on the ground than I am on the feet. I just haven't shown that yet because, bullshit. Yeah, you're more comfortable on the feet, and it says it because you don't shoot takedowns. Fucking stop lying to us and telling, like Jamal Hill pulls that shit. He always tells us, I want to test my jiu-jitsu against everybody. No, you don't. You don't, because you've never attempted a takedown in the UFC. So stop fucking lying and saying that your jiu-jitsu is better than people. It's not. Your hands are fucking elite. And that's why you don't attempt takedowns, because people don't last when you put your hands on them, Jamal. So yeah, like these fighters, they'll fucking lie to us and they'll tell us, oh, I'm just as comfortable in the other place when we know they're more comfortable, on the feet, or with some fighters, it's on the ground, wrestling, whatever. Paul Pierce saying, I'm leaning Khaos. He's good at people. He's good at getting people to fight his fight. I agree with you. DK saying, D1 Randy Brown showing up going to make me sad and more poor. Yeah, we'll see if that D1 version of Randy Brown does pull up, but I don't think it's going to. We'll see though. Juan Lopez in the room saying, I'm liking Williams at the money line a lot. I've already bet Williams on the money line. Teron Brown saying, what's up to Hank Hill? Paul saying training with Cejudo would have been perfect for Rose for this fight. Yeah, it would have been. That's for sure. And then we got Teron saying, I see so many people are sleeping on Tony Ferguson against Michael Chandler. That line has gotten way out of hand. Absolutely. DK saying, count me as one of those guys. How do you see Tony getting the win? Tony could get the win just by being the better striker, frankly. Michael Chandler throws with a lot of power, but it's not like he's a minute winner on the feet. And Tony will probably lose the first round because he usually does. But if you don't get him out of there, he's always dangerous in the second and the third. And he does get better as the fight goes on. His conditioning is there. His durability is there. The heart is unquestioned. It's the size of a truck. So there are avenues for Tony Ferguson. Let's not forget that the guy had, like a 10-fight winning streak before Charles Oliveira snapped it. And the guys that he's losing to, 2 of the last 3 guys that have beaten the washed Tony Ferguson also shaved fucking Chandler's ass too. So just got to see. If Chandler's not mixing in that wrestling, man, Tony's going to be dangerous on the feet for sure. But there's a reason why Chandler's a big favorite here, and that's because Tony's the kind of guy who was taking a ton of damage over his career, and you know that there's a finite amount of damage you can take, the human body can take, and he might be getting to that point. But we have to remember the 3 guys that beat him are all top 5. Teron Brown saying Dustin P said he wants the winner of Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler. Yeah, because he doesn't want to fight Colby Covington, that's for sure. And that's the fight that Colby wants. I don't know why he wants to fight Poirier, who's a 155er, but anyway, I'm looking forward to Dustin Poirier's next fight and seeing who it's going to be against. Because nobody else has Hamzat's name in their mouth except for Neil Magny. So it's going to be interesting to see how this welterweight division shakes out going forward. How do I feel about Brown's striking defense? So Brown's striking defense is not great. Neither one of these guys has great striking defense on paper. It's 49.65% for Khaos, and it's 52.61% for Randy Brown. So Brown's defense is okay, but so is Khaos's. I just like the fact that Khaos does keep his hands up. Randy Brown will tend to keep his hands down sometimes. But yeah, anyway, I think that they're very similar defensively, to be honest with you. Juan saying his footwork didn't look great versus Luque. Yeah, but and sometimes he's switching stances and he's throwing so many kicks that he, like, I remember in the it was the Gooden fight where he just kept stepping on his own toe trying to get it to unjam after he got it stuck in the fence. So yeah, I mean, the footwork though, I mean, he can switch stances. I think his footwork is he's a little bit lighter on his feet than Khaos Williams, but he's just got to be careful not to have too much weight on that lead leg, because Khaos will go to those lead leg kicks. And we've seen Baeza have success kicking the low leg of Khaos, and that could be a good way to slow down his mobility potentially for Brown if he wants to get into that war. But sometimes, if you don't want someone kicking your calves, the last thing you want to do is start going out there kicking your opponent's calves, because then you get the idea in their head, maybe I better get these calf kicks back. So we'll see how it goes. Paul saying, I love this rant. We got Juan saying, what's up? And Schillingberg saying, Chandler blows his wad. He'll be gassed late. Yeah, he could. Dude, I'm going to bet Tony Ferguson plus 2,900 in round 3. That's going to be a tracked bet for like 1/8 of a unit. A very, very, very small sprinkle. But at Tony Ferguson, the conditioning is unquestioned. The heart is unquestioned. And the durability is unquestioned, you guys. So round 3 is a great spot for him, especially against somebody like Chandler, who's known to be explosive early and slow down late. So that's going to be a bet that I'm definitely going to be making. Juan Lopez saying, I bet the over 1.5 rounds on Chandler versus Ferguson. I think that's a good bet. I think it's a good bet. Yeah, Tony can go 25 rounds. There's no question. Paul Pierce says, I did 2-1. Yeah, I bet I'm going to be betting that as well, as I think. Mark Schillingberg saying, that being said, I hate this fight for Tony. I wish he'd just retire. Gaethje stole his soul. That Gaethje fight was so bad for him. Paul saying, those body shots might be nasty from Khaos if Randy has his hands down and head back like usual. Yeah, that's one thing from Khaos I haven't seen. I like that he goes to the legs. He kicks to the body a lot, but I'd like to see Khaos punching to the body a little bit more. It's something I didn't see. I definitely try to watch for that. When guys are throwing to the body regularly, it makes me feel like they're just more complete strikers, because that, the leg kicks, the body are just as important as the head. And in certain instances, they're way more important, because there are some guys that are just stupid durable to the head. You can just hit them with a 2x4 and they won't go down and they'll just keep walking forward. So, working the body, working the legs is sometimes the best way to stop people. In particular, somebody that we just saw a couple weeks ago, Alexander Hernandez, right? Anthony Hernandez, who just fought at 185. This guy, you can hit him in the head with a 2x4, but you can shut him off to the body. So certain fighters, you want to be targeting that body early and often, as well as the legs, because they'll do more damage and they'll bank more damage for you and potentially get that knockout a lot quicker than you would going to the head. Tehran saying, what people fail to realize when Ferguson fought Justin, it was a last minute and he was preparing for a grappler in Khabib. He wasn't preparing for a striker like Justin. That's true. They were trying to prepare to put Habib in bad spots on the ground, and then all of a sudden you're fighting Justin Gaethje, who hasn't shot a takedown ever. So yeah, well, I mean, let me clarify that. In a cage, in a mixed martial arts match, I mean, we know that Justin Gaethje can wrestle, but he just doesn't. He chooses not to. Tehran saying, and plus that fight Tony had with Justin was 2 years ago. Yes. Paul saying, yeah, his body straights would do some damage if he throw them, and he just doesn't throw them. It pisses me off a little bit. But you're right, Paul. Tehran saying another thing, people make it like Ferguson lost to bums. His 3 fights, he just lost to 3 good guys. He just got grappled to death by the last 2 opponents. Now he's fighting a striker, and we see if vintage Tony Ferguson in 274. I hope you're right, because El Kakui is my favorite fighter of all time. Mark Schillingberg saying, love that over 1.5 and even 2.5 in Tony Chandler. I think it's a good bet. Dave Bandit saying, Tony getting very old, very fast. And as you're losing speed and all related to testosterone, you need to go back to technicality. Tony's style is lacking of proper technicality. Now, I agree with you on that. Tony is somebody who's relied on his chin, his conditioning, and his heart. Now, the boxing and the power is there, but he relies on he relies on taking your best shot, continuing to walk forward. And he's not really a one-punch knockout guy. He's a volume, attritional striker who uses pace, pressure, volume, and an iron chin in order to beat you. So at this point in his career, I see exactly what you're saying, Dave, and the point is well taken. Prince of Mischief saying, here's another nugget about Gaethje Ferguson. For some reason, Tony made weight 2 times, possibly had an impact and wore him down. Yeah, that's true, too, because he did have to. Yeah, that Ferguson Habib fight never took place, you guys, and I wish it had, but I think it would have been fucking. I think, now that we saw, Ferguson on the ground against Oliveira, we can predict how it would go against Habib. But let's look at the prop template, you guys, because right now, let's see where these odds are for the Khaos fight doesn't go to decision. And let's see here. We're going to refresh it one more time, get the freshest lines, and see what we can find. So fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 160 and plus 130 for fight goes. So minus 160. Oh, wow. Yeah, so these lines have moved quite a bit since earlier in the week. Fight doesn't go, minus 160. Fight goes, plus 130. Over 2.5 is minus 105. And minus 125 for under 2.5. And the over 1.5 in this particular fight is minus 175 on 5 dimes and plus 145. So minus 175, 145. Now we've got all these lines in here. So first thing we need to know, 636 fights in the welterweight division since 2013, you guys. And we've got 48.43% of them have finished. We also know that the fight doesn't go to decision line right now at minus 160 is sitting at a 61.5% implied probability. So right now, versus the divisional finish rate of 48.43%, we're overpaying by 13.11% on the implied probability of the line of 61.54%. When we take 0.6154 and we subtract 0.4843, we're going to get 0.1311. And that's what that means is that, just on the aggregate of how these fights finish overall, on a long timeline, that we're overpaying a little bit for this line. But we can also look at the stats of the two fighters, and we see that in their wins, in their careers, 70% of their wins have been inside the distance. 50% of their losses have been inside the distance. So 22 of 33 fights, that's 2/3 of their fights finishing inside the distance. That's 18% better than the divisional finish rate. And it's about 5.1% better than the implied probability of the line, which is sitting at minus 160. When we look at the UFC experience, we see 8 of their 12 combined wins have been inside the distance. That's 2/3. 3 of 5 losses inside the distance. That's 60%. But we see that Kalen's never been finished, and Randy's been finished in 3 of 4 losses. So we know that 65%, 11 out of their 17 combined UFC fights have finished inside the distance. That is finishing at the UFC level 16% better than the finish rate of the division of 48.43% and 3.2% better than the implied probability of the line of 61.54%. So I would say even at minus 160 right now, this is a bettable fight doesn't go to decision line. The problem with it is that I don't think Randy Brown is finishing Khaos Williams. Khaos Williams has faced some of the most powerful 170 pounders that are in the UFC. Alex Morono, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Michel Pereira, Miguel Baeza, and all 5 of them incredibly powerful, you guys. All 5 of them have a lot of knockdowns. All 5 of them have wins by knockout in the UFC. None of these 5 guys have even knocked this guy down. So, Semmelsberger was the 5th one. And, Semmelsberger's landing a knockdown on over 1% of the significant strikes that he lands. Same thing for Pereira. Same thing for Baeza. These guys have got a ton of power. So, I don't think that Randy Brown is going to finish him. So I kind of feel like if we think that this fight is finishing inside the distance, we might just want to take Khaos Williams by knockout or Khaos Williams inside the distance. And Khaos Williams by knockout is plus 175. We can get plus 165 for Williams inside the distance. So when you're only having to pay up a dime or take a dime, you're paying up a dime. Just get the submission too, because he could get a freak guillotine, up against the cage or something like that, or club and sub, something like that. So I think rather than minus 160 for fight doesn't go to decision, if you feel that Khaos Williams is going to knock this dude out, plus 175 or plus 165 for Khaos Williams inside the distance would probably be the way to go, says the prop template. And when we look here, for the UFC decision rates, only 6 of these guys, 17 UFC combined fights have went to decision. That's 35%. That's 16% under the divisional finish or divisional decision rate, and 8.2% overpriced according to the implied probability of the line, because only 2 of 5 decision losses have went to the scorecards, and 4 of 12 decision wins have went to the scorecards. So not enough fights going to decision to bet the fight goes here. But like I say, if you think the fight's going, maybe you bet Williams by decision, which is plus 325. And I think he can win minutes here. And then Brown by decision is sitting a little bit, actually lower or a higher probability of that at plus 300 here on Bet Online. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. No, Miles, there is no full card breakdown tonight. That will be tomorrow night on my channel, on the Uncle Weezy channel. Dave saying, yeah, for some reason, suddenly Hooker can't take a punch anymore. I wonder what's happening with him. Well, he took a lot of punches in the Arnold Allen fight without going down, but he just doesn't look himself. AG saying Randy can't hold anyone down. This fight takes place on the feet. Khaos by KO or decision. Yeah, I think Khaos by KO or decision is a good look here. Teron Brown saying I would love to see Kevin Holland versus Khaos Williams. Yeah, that would be a good one, man. That would be a really fun fight at 170. NHJ saying I have 3 units on Chandler at minus 200 and feeling a little nervous thinking about hedging at plus 310 on Ferguson to cover my initial bet. Yeah, man, you could do that. You could absolutely do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's free money, dude. You beat the line movement so bad that you can get out and get guaranteed free money without having to risk anything. And if you are feeling nervous about Ferguson, having a bit of a resurgence at this point of his career, might as well just take the free money. There's no shame in that. So Miles saying, yeah, we're going to do the Tuesday night show on Uncle Weezy's channel. Just a tip. The YouTube link will be out there for that sometime tomorrow. Yeah, no full card breakdown today. We're just breaking down this fight. Hank Hill saying, yo, Carla by sub is plus 1,500. Juicy odds. I got Carla choking her out again. That would be something, man. Tehran saying, people keep saying Ferguson is old, like Chandler is some spring chicken. Dude is 36, which isn't that young. They're both shop worn. Victor De Jesus, Weezy, sorry, can't participate much on the chat. They're making me work at work again. Why do they make people work at work? I feel like that's a Weezy rant waiting to happen here. This is way more important. Your boss is probably just a dick. You know, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Your boss is just a dick. Like, you're listening to Uncle Weezy. How does that not make you a better employee no matter what your job is, Victor? I don't know. I don't understand bosses who make people work. It just disgusts me. It's why I had to become my own boss and become a content creator. Where's the full card show? It'll be on the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel, Miles. You got it, dude. And but yeah, as I was saying earlier, Grand Rapids, it not only has Jamal Hill and Khaos Williams, but we also have the future Hall of Famer Kama Worthy. I didn't know Kama Worthy was out there too. That's wild, dude. Yeah, Grand Rapids, stand up, man. And you got from South Haven, Michigan, one Drakkar Close. So Michigan doing pretty well on the mixed martial arts scheme here in the UFC. Paul Pierce saying Weezy better than working. Shaking my head. Boss don't care about his employees. Yeah, I mean, exactly, dude. Listen, you guys, wow, an hour and 6 minutes. We went entirely too long on this fight, but we broke it down. And I watched all the tape, so I had a lot to say on it. I'd like to thank all 25 of you guys who are in here watching right now. Please hit that like button on your way out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. You can check me out tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time on the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel. I'll be doing just a tip, breaking down all 15 of these fights from a statistical and tape study perspective. We will finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And then you can find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel on Thursday night, 7:15 Central Time for Probability. Check me out on Pub Sports Radio every Wednesday night for the DFS show, every Sunday night with my guy DFS by the Numbers. I'd like to shout out everybody from the MMA Engine crew. DFS by the Numbers, my man's getting married this week. We won't see him until next week. We got Lou Betya. We got Monk Maddox. We're going to be bringing you a ton of great content for the rest of this week. Thank each and every one of you guys. Teron Brown is saying, is this my second channel? I'm doing this channel with DFS by the Numbers, with Lou Betcha, with Monk Maddox. We will be starting a website, MMA-engine.com. Look for that to launch at the end of May, you guys. And we will be providing not only content right here on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, but also some paid content, which will be including all of the analytics that you guys see in that prop template. We're going to have a fight studio. It'll be a one-stop shop for DFS and betting research that will be strictly related to the UFC, you guys. So check us out on the MMA Engine. That's going to be coming very soon. And let me just get the rest of the comments here. DK saying, you the man for hanging out. Kama Worthy's a Pittsburgh boy. I thought that. I thought at least hearing, maybe he trains out there, man. Kevin Lee from Michigan, too. They have the Motor City Madman there. Not Ted Nugent. He's the Motor City Madman. What was the motor? Fuck, I forgot. Anyway, Prince of Mischief saying all of Rowe's rematches have gone to decisions. Definitely playing that. Thank you, Weezy. Have a great night, brother. Appreciate you, Paul. And then Hank saying, Weezy, when you look over the tape, you'll be running to the phone to place a max bet on Carla. Only person that stopped the Carla game plan, Joanna, was 8 years ago and has the best takedown defense in the division. Yeah, Joanna does have excellent takedown defense. Flapjacks, baby, DK, you got that right, man. Nick Sisson, Uncle Weezy, my dude, great catching you live. Great to see you, Nick. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, I do contribute here. My channel is the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel, but I'll be contributing a lot going forward on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. Thanks, Weezy. DK saying his channel is a must watch. I much appreciate that. Thank you, keeping me awake. Prince of Mischief, appreciate that. And then we got Teron Brown saying Tony Ferguson is from Michigan, Muskegon. Oh, wow, cool, man. Well, thank you guys for hanging out on another episode of Balls Deep Breakdown here on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. God bless each and every one of you guys. And let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 274. Good night, everybody.